I've always thought of myself as just a simple man, honest, clumsy, nothing special. All I ever wanted was a peaceful life, a steady career, a warm home, and a family of my own. But what I never expected was how cruel fate could be. After a car accident left me with memory loss, I uncovered a truth so bitter it shook me to my core. My wife, Willow, had been cheating on me. Not once, not occasionally, every single day. The rage burned inside me. I was ready to cut all ties, to expose her and walk away for good. But just as I was about to take the high ground and call her out, life threw me another cruel twist. My girlfriend appeared, and with her, my fiancé. In that moment, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Wasn't this just bullying an honest man? When I opened my eyes after the crash, the first thing I remembered was finishing the college entrance exams, dreaming about university. But when I looked around, the world told a different story. Somehow, 5 years had passed. Across from me sat a beautiful girl, peeling a peach as if it were the most natural thing. She chatted about daily life, her voice soft but tinged with frustration. Ugh, it's so annoying. This month I have to record a new song and squeeze in a few concerts. I can't spend too much time with you. Her face was radiant, almost blinding, her hair pulled back in a side bun that only made her features more striking. A diamond earring sparkled against her skin. When she leaned in, kissed my cheek, and slid naturally into my arms, I froze, but only for a moment. She acted like she belonged there, so I believed she must be my girlfriend. It seemed we were often apart. I quietly wondered if that meant our relationship was strong enough to endure distance. Still, I could hardly believe it. I was dating a celebrity. With a smile that could melt stone, she whispered, "Why don't we go to Bali together next month?" Next month? I didn't even know what kind of life I was living right now. And I sure wasn't ready to admit I'd lost my memory. She pressed a peach into my hand and held the other. Her eyes sparkled as she leaned closer. "Tell me, is your wife still cheating on you?" The words hit me like an earthquake. My wife. I was married, and she'd cheated on me? That meant I was cheating too. This woman, this gorgeous celebrity, knew I had a wife, and still chose to be with me. I kept my head down, hiding the shock twisting inside me. I tried to brush it off. "It's all right, I guess," I muttered. But she pressed harder. "A shameless woman like that doesn't deserve dignity. Baby, when are you divorcing her and giving me my proper title?" Her words left me speechless. So even I had been planning to divorce Willow? And maybe she was right. If my wife really cheated on me, then leaving her was the only choice. I sank deep into thought, wondering who Willow even was to me now. Her voice broke through my spiral. "Don't worry. My manager knows a great lawyer. We'll make sure she doesn't get a single advantage. And you don't need to be afraid of my fans. They're rational. They'll support us." She smiled, her beauty disarming. Her lips curved, her voice low and sultry, her charm wrapping around me like silk. My heart ached, my skin tingled. I wanted her more than I'd ever wanted anything. And like an obedient fool, I nodded. "All right." Then, as if the world wasn't twisted enough, she asked, "Is that perverted female boss of yours still harassing you?" I blinked. Perverted female boss? Harassing me? The words barely made sense. She frowned. "You should just quit. Always working overtime on weekends, earning scraps, and still putting up with that menopausal hag breathing down your neck. My uncle's company is hiring. You could switch and become a manager." So that was my life now. Long hours, lousy pay, and a boss who harassed me? It sounded like hell. I nodded absently, still trying to process. Just then my phone rang. The caller ID flashed. Boss Freya. The name itself carried elegance. Not at all what I expected. My girlfriend grabbed the phone. "Put it on speaker." "Answer," she ordered. I hesitated, guilt gnawing at me, but stayed quiet. On the other end, a cold yet youthful voice cut through. "Where are you? Why didn't you come to work? Not old. Not menopausal. Young. Sharp. Alive." I stumbled out. I was in a car accident. I'm in the hospital. Her tone softened instantly. Are you all right? Which hospital? I gave her the name, still dazed. My girlfriend listened silently, her expression hard. From her words earlier, I pieced it together. She had just returned to S City last night, and I'd gone to her immediately. Then, on my way home in the morning, the accident happened. So, yes, our relationship seemed stable, affectionate even. But the contradictions gnawed at me. The truth was I had always been the dutiful one, the honest one. So, how did I end up in this mess? Cheating on my wife, entangled with a celebrity, at odds with my boss. Maybe it was Willow's betrayal. Maybe it was the suffocating weight of a miserable job. Maybe those things had twisted me into someone I no longer recognized. But one thing was clear. I had been dragged into a bitter, tangled adult life. And yet, in the middle of the chaos, there was her. This beautiful woman who called me baby, who whispered promises of a new life, who offered me comfort and escape. Without her, I might have drowned completely. The call ended, my boss hanging up abruptly. My girlfriend scoffed at her, contempt sharp in her voice. Then she kissed me, her mask and cap ready, reminding me she had concerts and events waiting. She left the room, her curves swaying, her presence impossible to forget. I watched her walk away, desire burning hotter. Next time, I promised myself I wouldn't just look. I'd finally taste the forbidden fruit. Back in high school, I used to dream of things like this, never realizing I'd wake up one day and actually live it. The man in the hospital bed beside me gave me a long, envious look. Then he chuckled softly. Your girlfriend really cares about you. And I couldn't even deny it. I grinned and told him, of course. Our relationship is stable. We're even planning to get married. He nodded approvingly. Not only does she have a good personality, but she's gorgeous too. Though, she looks kind of familiar. We were both stuck in the same hospital ward, a little bored, so we kept talking. By chance, he actually knew my girlfriend, Sophia. Turns out, she'd recently gone viral after a variety show appearance. The sultry makeup, the way she performed, it made her unforgettable. Even he, a guy who barely watched shows, had seen her face all over his feed. And he wouldn't stop praising her. How beautiful she was. How perfect her figure looked. How dating a girl like her would make life worth dying for. I almost laughed. He spoke like she was some unreachable goddess, yet the woman he worshipped was the same one who had just been kissing me in this very room. He told me Sophia once said in an interview that men should be understood. For that, some big bloggers labeled her a pick-me girl, and suddenly she became a target online. My roommate scoffed, shaking his head. That's hilarious. They don't even know what they're criticizing. They bash her for being a pick-me, even ask if she likes men, as if that's some kind of shame. When I saw that question, I swear, my brain just smoothed over in disbelief. The truth was, Sophia had never had a scandal to her name. Whenever male celebrities tried to stir up gossip with her, she immediately shut it down, posting online, making it clear there was nothing between them. She was so direct that eventually, no one dared to mess with her. At noon, just as I was poking at the hospital food, the door opened. A tall woman walked in, striking, elegant. Silver-rimmed glasses, long pale fingers, a food container in her hand. Both my roommate and I turned to look, but she came straight to me. Without hesitation, she leaned in close, brushed her nose against mine, and sighed in mild annoyance. Can't you drive more carefully? Besides the concussion, is there anywhere else you're hurt? For a moment, I froze. But deep down, the intimacy felt natural, as if this wasn't new at all. Then she added softly, don't worry about your workload. I'll handle it for now. Her words clicked something in my memory. The voice from the call this morning. I tested her carefully. Freya? She glanced at me casually. What about it? So she was Freya, the so-called perverted boss? Everyone claimed harassed me. But looking at her, beautiful, graceful, full of quiet authority, I couldn't help but wonder, was she really harassing me? Or was it the other way around? She opened the container, smiling faintly. I was in a rush, so I just made some simple dishes. Tonight, I'll cook something better and bring it over. She began picking food for me, even feeding me herself. The way she did it, it was pure wifey energy. I glanced at my roommate. He was staring too, the silence heavy with disbelief. My boss knew my tastes, cooked for me, personally brought the food. Was this what harassment looked like? I chewed slowly. The food was delicious, but before I could comment, she asked, "Where's your engagement ring?" I blinked in shock. She lifted her hand, revealing a simple band. "I've been wearing mine all along." The implication was clear. I wasn't wearing mine, and that was my mistake.
"Wait.
We were engaged?" She looked at me knowingly, eyes sharp, almost as if she could see straight through me. "Still hiding it from your wife? When are you going to tell her?" My roommate gasped. I wanted to do the same, but forced myself to stay still. Her expression darkened. Even the hand that fed me trembled with resentment. "George," she said coldly, "do you really think I'll be your mistress forever?" Her eyes cut into me. My scalp tingled. My chest tightened. Under her pressure, I gave in quickly. "I'll get divorced as soon as possible. Otherwise, I truly feared she might poison me with the very meal she'd cooked." Her face softened, the tension easing. She blinked, then smiled gently. "That's better. My parents keep asking when we're getting married. You'd better finalize things soon, or if they find out, it'll cause a mess." I nodded vaguely, but my mind was spinning. Someone was lying. There was no way I could have a girlfriend, a fiancée, and a wife all at once. There had to be another truth hidden beneath it all. Because I wasn't this man. Back in school, I had been the model student, the upright one teachers told others to follow. I had never even dated. There was no way that, 5 years later, I had turned into a man so despised, so tangled in lies. As I spiraled, she spoke again. "Have you quit smoking? Are you taking folic acid?" I froze. "What?" She frowned. "Didn't we agree to prepare for pregnancy? I've been taking folic acid for 2 months already, but you're so inconsistent." I stammered. "Why you're pregnant?" She tilted her head, unimpressed. "What's wrong with you? We're preparing for a baby. That was the plan." My words dried up in my throat. Preparing for pregnancy, with my mistress? While I was still married. She pressed her lips together, her voice colder now. "You should leave your wife first. Otherwise, something might happen. She's filthy. What if you catch something from her?" Her tone dropped, each word sharp and deliberate. "If that cheating woman messes around with other men again." Her eyes burned, her meaning unmistakable. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My wife, old, ugly, and unfaithful?
God.
Was that why I never got close to her? Was that the reason she went looking elsewhere? But then, why had I even married her in the first place? Had I already given up on life back then, stopped caring, stopped fighting for myself? While my mind wrestled with those questions, Freya casually pulled out 2 pills. She swallowed one, then pushed the other into my hand.
"Folic acid," she said.
"Take it. Now." My scalp tingled. I still felt like a clueless high schooler inside. Yet here I was, married, preparing for children, even being handed folic acid like some obedient husband. Still, I forced a nod. "No problem." Only then did she seem satisfied. The moment she left, I yanked out my phone, desperate for answers. Nothing. My phone was cleaner than my own face, no texts, no history. It was as if someone had scrubbed away entire pieces of my life. And when it came to those 2 women, my so-called fiancée and girlfriend, there wasn't a single trace left. Damn it. Who deleted everything? What kind of shameful truth was being buried? One thing was clear. Somehow, I had 3 women in my life. My wife, my fiancée, my girlfriend. But since my wife was supposedly cheating, I figured I'd deal with her first. That afternoon, the door opened. And the moment she walked in, my world cracked wide open. A mature, elegant woman, dressed in a blue V-neck dress, every movement dripping with class and allure. She wasn't just beautiful, she was magnetic. And then my heart stopped. It was Willow, the school goddess I had secretly loved all through middle and high school. So this was my wife. My pulse roared in my ears. She came straight to me, wrapped her arms around mine, her voice soft, tender. Honey, why were you so careless? I froze. My roommate stared blankly at the ceiling, avoiding my eyes, as if the world itself had gone silent.
Oh God.
My so-called old, ugly, cheating wife was the girl I'd once worshipped. My first love. My youth.
Why?
Why did she have to betray me? She leaned closer, her expression filled with hurt. What's wrong? Did you miss me? I'm sorry, honey, this last business trip dragged on too long. But I promise, I'm not leaving again anytime soon. Please forgive me. Her gentle voice wrapped around me like a spell, pulling me under. Was this the reason I had never divorced her? Because deep down I still loved her, because I still wanted to believe that love could numb betrayal? But something inside me hardened. Enough. No need to apologize, I said flatly. Let's just get divorced. Her body stiffened, her eyes wide with disbelief. What did you just say? I turned away, refusing her gaze. Cheating only comes in two forms, 0 times or countless times. Maybe before I was a coward. Maybe I didn't dare divorce you.
But now.
I have to. Her face darkened, her voice sharp. Cheating?
Me?
When have I ever cheated? Tell me, George. Explain it to me clearly. I froze. My fiancée and my girlfriend had both sworn she betrayed me. But looking into her eyes now, she didn't look like a liar at all. Who was telling the truth? Who was deceiving me? I forced a laugh, grabbed her hand, and said, Relax. I was joking. Just acting. How was my performance? But her expression turned cold. Her voice colder still. Don't ever let me hear that word, divorce, again. It doesn't exist in my dictionary. Only. I cut her off quickly. Of course, of course. The woman I had admired for years, the goddess I once thought was untouchable, was now my wife. And she treated me with a tenderness that left no room for doubt. She cared for me, cooked for me, even planned a visit to my parents' house together. But when she slipped away to the bathroom, I grabbed her phone. The password was my birthday. Inside, the messages between us were sweet, ordinary, filled with affection. No lies. No distance. No anger. She had filled the freezer with dumplings before her trip, just because I hated takeout. She remembered the smallest details about me. And in that moment, a terrifying thought struck me. If she wasn't the one lying, then who was? Because somehow, I was standing in the middle of 3 women's lives. And worse, the one thing I couldn't explain to myself, why had I cheated? Because deep down, I didn't believe I ever had. One of my biggest dreams in life was simple. Marry, have children, and build one warm home. Just one. Not 3. So, if I somehow ended up with 3 women tangled in my life, the problem wasn't me. It had to be someone else. Looking at my wife, I could tell she had no clue about the so-called affairs. Meanwhile, the other 2, they knew I was married, but not that I also had a girlfriend or a fiancé. No matter how I spun it, the truth was ugly. I was already married. Cheating, no matter the excuse, was still wrong. I clenched my fists. I needed to find out what really happened, end things with the other 2, and then return to my family. So, I sent messages. To Freya, I said I needed to face my wife and get a divorce. To Sophia, I lied, said I had to work overtime. My plan was simple: cut Sophia off first. She was a celebrity, it would be easier to end it there. But then instinct betrayed me. After sending the texts, my thumb, like it had done it 1,000 times before, slid, tapped, deleted the conversations.
Gone. Just like that.
I stared at my own hand, cursing silently. Damn hand. So, it was you who kept erasing my past. Meanwhile, my wife stayed close, resting against my shoulder. She asked if we could watch a movie together. Before long, she drifted to sleep, leaning on me. She told me she'd rushed back just to be with me sooner, barely sleeping 5 hours the night before. I turned my head, saw the exhaustion beneath her eyes, and my chest tightened with guilt. If she hadn't betrayed me, and it was really me who had betrayed her, then I wasn't just wrong. I was a scumbag. Either way, I had to break things off with the others. The very next day, I was discharged. Healthy, full of energy, and heading home with my wife. Our home was beautiful, a 2-story duplex, warm and tidy. On the wall in our bedroom hung our wedding photo. She stood in her gown, gentle, shy, eyes full of love. I was beside her, smiling faintly, looking back at her as if nothing else in the world mattered. Everywhere I turned, there were memories, an album full of us. Dates, dinners, vacations. Photos of us as students, so young, so green. Then photos after we'd started working, more mature, more seasoned. From the looks of it, our life together had been sweet. Very sweet. I saw a picture in front of University A's gates. She held her admission letter high, smiling shyly, while I wrapped my arms around her. That was when guilt crashed into me. Back in high school, I had liked her already. She chose University A in the capital. And me? I had wanted to stay in S City, but instead, I followed her. Yet all I remembered now was my own admission. My mind had erased everything else. As I flipped through those photos, trying to piece together the life I'd built, she suddenly slipped her arm around my neck. She rose on tiptoe and kissed me. Her breath was sweet, her lips soft, and my body woke up instantly. She smiled at me with that teasing glimmer. So excited, looks like you really missed me. I couldn't hold back. I scooped her into my arms, carried her into the bedroom, and pressed her down onto the bed. For years, I had admired her from afar, never daring to imagine moments like this. But now, she guided me, drew me in, until we fell together into a sea of desire. Afterward, she rested against me, her peach blossom eyes staring softly into mine. "What is it?" I asked. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Her voice trembled slightly. "I was thinking about what you said yesterday." "What did I say?" "That you wanted to divorce me." My heart sank. I scrambled. "That was a joke. Just a joke." She shook her head, pain clouding her eyes. "Honey, don't ever joke about that. I'd lose my mind." The guilt was suffocating. Then she left the room, only to return holding a green hat. My heart lurched. What's the meaning of this? Before I could stop her, she pulled it over my head. But it wasn't a hat at all, it was a ski mask. She pressed close, guided my hand against her body, eyes turning red as she whispered with pitiful trembling, "No, no, please don't. I have a husband." I froze. Role-playing? Is this what we usually did? It startled me. But strangely enough, it was also intriguing. The next day, I forced myself back to work. I had dug up the company's address from my social security records. I couldn't bring myself to admit I'd lost my memory. And oddly enough, my wife suggested I quit. That menopausal female boss of yours, always giving you trouble, always making you work overtime. We're not short on money. Why not do something you actually enjoy? She was right. Writing. That had always been my love. That morning, I opened my phone and found dozens of messages from readers. I'd already written books, published even, and some had done well. It all came back in fragments, scribbling stories in notebooks in middle school and high school. And now, somehow, I was a novelist, a career I could be proud of. But my love life? That was still chaos. I had always been the type to follow the rules, to study hard, to walk the straight path life had laid before me. So getting tangled in this mess was never supposed to be my story. But deep down, I knew, if I broke things off with Freya, working in the same company would become unbearable. And with the way she looked at me, I feared my own weakness. That night, when my wife leaned in, kissed me, and whispered, "Love you," I smiled, but unease twisted in my chest. To me, she was still the untouchable school goddess I once worshipped from afar. Yet now, she was mine, tender, gentle, and when passion took over, wild and unstoppable, like a storm I never saw coming. Behind that quiet, graceful exterior was a fire that could burn me whole. Carrying that sweetness with me, I walked into the office the next morning. I checked my emails, pieced together my job title, and before heading in, I grabbed a big bag of breakfast for the team. The receptionist knew exactly where my desk was. Habit, I guessed, and soon my colleagues were crowding around, grateful for the food. But then she appeared. Freya, my boss. She cut through the crowd without a glance, straight into her office. My stomach tightened. I knew what I had to do. I couldn't betray my wife. I had to end it. By mid-morning, her message came. Come in. My heart thudded. When I knocked and entered, the blinds were drawn. The door shut tight. She frowned at me, her voice sharp, almost mocking. What's wrong? Fresh out of the hospital, and already your wife is cheating again? You look pale as death. I froze. Not entirely wrong, but not the truth either. It wasn't anger. It was exhaustion. And maybe guilt. I took a breath. This was it. Freya, I said firmly, I have something to tell you. But she cut me off. She reached into her bag, pulled out a small bottle, and poured 2 pills into her hand. She swallowed one and pressed the other toward me. Folic acid, she said impatiently. My gut told me if I didn't speak now, I'd never get the chance. So I pushed her hand away, looked her dead in the eye, and said the words I'd been choking on. Let's break up. Her face froze. Then it twisted, storm clouds darkening. She bit her lip hard. Say that again. My chest tightened with guilt, but I forced the words out. My wife, she's good to me. What we're doing is wrong. It's immoral. I didn't even finish before her hand flashed. A fruit knife, pointed straight at her own wrist. Her voice cracked into a scream. You want to break up with me?
Fine.
Then watch me die right here in front of you. May you and your wife step over my corpse and grow old together. Panic surged through me. Calm down. Please, let's just talk. I was joking. I'm not breaking up, okay? I swear. My hands shook as I raised them. She stared at me, her eyes wild, searching for weakness. When will you divorce her? She demanded. Grinding my teeth, I gave her what she wanted.
Soon.
I just need more time. She sneered. What makes you think I'll stay your mistress forever? That was the moment I understood. I had never slipped. She had cornered me from the start. Her weapon wasn't charm.
It was death.
Either I stayed, or I'd have blood on my conscience. Then, like flipping a switch, her madness softened. She slid onto my lap, whispered against my ear, I love you, George. Without you, I'll die. And before I could react, she kissed me, hard, forcing the pill into my mouth as her body pressed against mine. I swallowed, out of fear, out of weakness, out of pity. And then it was too late. Afterward, shame clung to me like a second skin. She straightened her clothes, her face now cold and commanding. The boss again. She ordered me to pack up. Tomorrow we were leaving on a business trip. I sat at my desk later, broken. I had been played, manipulated with threats sharper than any knife. And though I hated myself for it, I had given in. My boss had made herself impossible to escape. So that night, when my wife asked where I was going, I lied. I told her I had overtime. But the truth was I was drowning, and I didn't know how much longer I could keep my head above water. I told my boss I needed to leave early. I couldn't keep running. I had to face my wife. And after that, I set a time to meet Sophia. My fingers danced across the screen, crafting excuses, deleting them, rewriting, deleting again. And in that moment, it hit me. The real betrayal wasn't Freya, or Sophia, or even me. It was my own hands. My fingers, tapping out lies with such ease, as if they'd forgotten who they belonged to. Sophia picked a quiet, hidden restaurant. When I stepped into the private room, she was already there, waiting. Before I could say a single word, she was on me, her lips, her hands, her body pressing close, drowning me in desperate kisses. And damn it, my own body betrayed me. My mouth kissed her back like it had been starving, just as it had in Freya's office. By the time I realized what was happening, it was already too late. Afterward, as I adjusted my shirt, a strange thought cut through the haze. Kidney supplements. Not folic acid, not vitamins. Kidney supplements. That was my reality now. Still, she looked at me with those eyes, soft and needy, whispering, "Did you miss me? You came running the second I called." I dodged her lips awkwardly, but when she leaned in again, God help me, I didn't hate it. What man would? Being desired, being wanted like that, it was intoxicating. But I couldn't lose myself. I had to stay firm. So I told her, "Sophia, I can't divorce my wife. She's pregnant with my child." Her body snapped upright. In a heartbeat, the sweetness drained from her face. All the gentleness vanished, replaced with sharp edges. My scalp prickled. I half expected her to reach for a knife. But instead, her voice came low and calm. "How far along?" "3 months," I stammered. Her eyes narrowed. "And what if the baby isn't even yours? Didn't you say she cheated 3 months ago? Isn't that why?" I cut her off. "It's mine. I know it's mine." She scoffed, her laugh like ice. "You know, that's not proof. I don't believe you. I'll go to her myself, make her take a paternity test. You won't make me the backup option, George." She grabbed her keys, ready to storm out. I nearly collapsed right there. "Wait, please. I was wrong. She's not pregnant. I just said it to two." My voice broke. "I can't leave her. I've done enough damage already. I don't want this anymore." Her lips curled with contempt. "Then I'll tell the world." She pulled out her phone and typed a post, her thumb hovering over the screen. "George's wife, leave him. He doesn't love you. In love, the unloved one is the real mistress." My blood ran cold. "What are you doing?" "Making us public," she said flatly. "Public? With her?" She was a celebrity. This wasn't love. It was a fire, ready to burn us both. I cracked.
Fine.
"I'll talk about divorce when I get home." She put her phone away, almost smiling. And then, out of nowhere, she whispered, "We should have a child." My skin crawled. "But your career." "If I need to, I'll give it all up. I'll be your wife, your children's mother. Isn't that enough?" Her words cut like knives. "What about me isn't good enough for you, George? I have the looks, the body. I love you more than you'll ever love me. Why do you keep running? Why do you keep choosing her?" She wasn't just holding me, she was caging me. Another woman clinging so tightly, I couldn't breathe. I forced out the words she wanted to hear. "Fine.
Kids.
As many as you want. Even 100. Inside, I screamed. On the outside, I shrank down, nodding, small as a quail. After dinner, she asked me to walk her to the pharmacy. Even wrapped in a mask and baseball cap, she turned heads. She was breathtaking, undeniably so. For a brief moment, I thought, maybe it wasn't so bad we hadn't ended things. And then I saw what she bought. "What's this?" I asked. "Folic acid," she said. My stomach dropped. "For pregnancy prep. 1 pill a day for both of us." I smiled weakly, took the pill, and walked home with a hollow chest. The relief of stepping through my own door hit me like a wave, until I saw my wife sitting there, silent, staring. Her face blank, her eyes colder than I'd ever seen. "2 women messaged me today," she said flatly. My heart stopped. "What?" She held out her phone. "They both claimed to be your true love. Both told me to leave you." On the screen, the first message, "Miss Lou, George loves me. We're planning to marry and have children. Please step aside on your own." The second, "I'm Sophia. George and I are true love. You set the conditions but divorce quickly. I'm already preparing for pregnancy." I went cold, every excuse dying on my tongue. My wife's voice cut through me like glass. "Who are they?" I forced a laugh. "Maybe lunatics. People just released from the asylum. Who else would write this kind of nonsense?" And then the doorbell rang. My wife stood, walking toward the door. I stayed frozen on the couch, humiliated, exposed, like a student caught sneaking out of class, dragged by the teacher to the front of the office. My mind raced, scrambling for excuses. None came. And then, from the door, I heard it. A voice I knew too well. "Hello. I'm George's fiancée. My name is Freya." My head turned on its own, like a machine running on broken gears. I prayed it was an illusion. But it wasn't. Freya walked in, all smiles, carrying a fruit basket like some polite guest. But I knew better. That wasn't fruit she wanted to deliver. It was a future and a baby. The room fell into silence, thick enough to choke on. Freya looked at my wife, Willow, and with a sugary smile said, "I didn't expect you to be so young and pretty. George always said you were a nagging old hag.
Ugly.
Worn out." Willow crossed her arms, not flinching, just staring her down. And then Freya turned to me, smiling playfully. "I know you can't bring yourself to say it, so I'll do it for you." Expressionless, I picked up the fruit knife on the table and put it away. My wife asked coldly, "So you're the one in a hurry to get pregnant?" Freya blinked, caught off guard. "What?" But before she could say more, the doorbell rang again. Willow tilted her head toward me. "Go open it." Freya went instead. And from the doorway came another familiar voice. "Hello. I'm George's girlfriend. My name is Sophia." At that moment, I wanted to die. Now, there were 4 of us, each sitting on separate sofas like players in a cruel game. My wife, Willow, sat at the head of the room, calm, cold, her arms folded. She turned to Sophia and asked, "You're the one who wanted me to set conditions, aren't you?" Sophia frowned. "What?" Unmoved, Willow tapped her fingers on the tea table. "One calls herself my husband's fiancée. The other calls herself his girlfriend. Both want me to divorce him. So tell me," her eyes locked on mine, "honey, what do you have to say?" My throat closed. "It's a misunderstanding. All of it. Please, I was wrong. I'm just a kid. Just let me go." Freya's lips curved. "I'm his boss. We've already gotten engaged in the capital, met each other's parents, and we're preparing to marry. And to have children." Sophia sneered. "So, you're that menopausal boss clinging desperately to George." Then she turned her gaze on Willow. "And you must be the old, ugly wife who cheated on him. The one called Willow." Freya snapped, "I've never even heard George mention you." Willow didn't blink.
Funny.
"He's never mentioned either of you either." Silence. Heavy, unbroken silence. Finally, Sophia spoke. "Name your price. What will it take for you to leave him?" Freya scoffed. "We're engaged. You're just mistress number 4. Don't be so shameless." "Mistress number 4? That's not certain," Sophia shot back. "I've been with him for half a year." Willow's gaze sharpened like a blade. Freya countered, 8 months. Willow's voice cut through them both. "Then you're mistress number 3, and she's mistress number 4. Her eyes turned to me. "Any objections?" I shook my head, too broken to speak. "Good," Willow said coldly. "Because I will never divorce. And let me warn you both, stop throwing yourselves at my husband. You too, your hotels. This is home. Husband, say something." I clenched my jaw, voice trembling. I can't divorce. I'm begging you." And then chaos erupted. Sophia reached for her phone, threatening to post our affair online. Freya stormed toward the kitchen, ready to grab a knife. The living room spiraled into madness. Willow didn't flinch. She sat still and said, "Go ahead.
Post it.
Let the whole world spit on him. This house will always be his safe harbor." Freya snapped, "George doesn't love you. Stop lying to yourself." Sophia barked, "George loves me." Willow's voice was ice. "Look at the way you're cornering him. Forcing him. Threatening him. That's how you trapped him into betraying me. My husband is an honest man. Straightforward. The only reason he strayed is because you pressured him. I know him best." Her words shattered me. Tears welled in my eyes. She was right. I wasn't a schemer. I wasn't a liar. I was just a fool. An honest fool caught in their traps. Willow stretched her hand toward me. "Husband, let's go. If they want to throw themselves at you for free, let them. It's no loss to us." I grabbed her hand, clung to her, and walked upstairs. I hoped the other 2 finally understood. In the bedroom, I whispered. Wife, I'm sorry. She sighed. What are you sorry for? For everything, I said. Her voice softened, though her eyes stayed sharp. Your biggest mistake wasn't meeting those women.
It was not telling me.
If you had, would they have barged into our home threatening to die and expose you?
No.
They wouldn't have dared. I nodded quickly. She was too good,
Too forgiving.
and yet, at night, when she held me down, whispering threats with a smile, I realized the truth. She was the scariest one of all, because she meant every word. And just when I thought things would calm down, Freya and Sophia moved in. Freya said firmly, "We're engaged. If Miss Lou refuses to divorce, then I'll stay here until she does." Sophia added, "George and I are true love. I'm not leaving. The one who should go is her." But Willow just folded her arms and said coldly, "Mistress number 3. Mistress number 4. If you insist on living here, you'll do it by my rules. All the housework, all the cooking, all the laundry, or I'll throw you both out myself." Freya's voice cut the air like ice. "Mistress number 4, where's that famous temper of yours? Why haven't you stormed out yet?" Sophia's eyes narrowed. "Mistress number 3, don't think I don't see through you. If you can't even handle this, how dare you say you love George? I'll wait. I can wait forever." And me? I sat there, shrinking into myself. Did anyone care how I felt in all this? By morning, the storm seemed to have quieted. After washing up, I walked downstairs with Willow at my side. Freya was already in the kitchen. She had made breakfast. After we all ate, Sophia quietly gathered the dishes and began to wash them. When she wasn't busy performing at concerts, she practiced her singing at home. She even asked Willow if she could remodel a room for her instruments. Willow didn't even look up. She just said, "Put it in writing." Sophia, humiliated, agreed. Then came work. Freya rode with me. Before I got out of the car, Willow called after her, voice sharp as steel, "Mistress number 3, don't forget your place." On the road, Freya asked me, "Why won't you divorce her? She's unbearable."
All I could do was sigh.
If I asked for a divorce, she'd probably kill me. Freya drew in a sharp breath. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pressured you before. She clearly isn't a good person." She cursed Willow the whole drive, her words as relentless as the traffic. At the office, she pulled me into secret trysts, dragging me into corners, whispering demands. She even forced folic acid pills into my hand, sometimes 3 in one day. And the irony? My wife at home was saying the same thing. It's time we had a child. The afternoons belonged to Sophia. She'd show up outside my office with tea in her hands and a faint smile on her lips. Then she'd book hotel rooms by the hour, pretending to be dizzy, leaning on me until I gave in. And at night, I came home to Willow, curled in my arms on the couch, watching movies. She never raised her voice. She simply commanded, "Mistress number 3, cut some fruit. Mistress number 4, mop the floor." And I just sat there, speechless. But then everything shifted. One day, I remembered. The fog of the past lifted. I remembered who I had been. After filling out my college entrance exam, I had found the courage to reach out to Willow. I wanted to follow her to the capital. I carried her luggage. We registered for school together. And somewhere in that journey, we became a couple. She later told me she had always liked me. She was just waiting for the right moment. After university, we married. Life was simple.
Sweet.
So, how did Freya slip in? A business trip. A pair of spiked drinks. A night neither of us meant to happen. We swore to forget it, but she begged for more. Once turned into twice. Twice became countless. And when I tried to walk away, she raised a fruit knife to her throat and told me I wasn't allowed to leave. And Sophia? That began with my novel, one of them being adapted into a movie. She was chosen to sing the theme song. We met in her studio, her voice filling the room, pulling me in. By the time I realized I'd gone too far, it was already too late. From then on, I walked a tightrope of lies. When I couldn't meet Sophia, I told her my boss was chaining me to overtime. When I couldn't see Freya, I said my wife was cheating and I needed to catch her. And when I couldn't be with Willow, I told her I was stuck at work. The excuses stacked higher and higher. The lies became my second language. Once, I had dreamed of nothing more than a quiet life. A home filled with warmth. And in a way, that dream came true. I had the warmth. I had the home. But God help me, it was far more crowded than I'd ever imagined.